Well, welcome back to sociology class. No, I am not a sociologist, but I've had to talk about sociology this entire season. And yeah, I get it, it's a social game, but I would love to really talk about the dynamics of the gameplay, or just gameplay in general, but this season hasn't had a lot of that. Everything's just been so personal. And in the end days of Big Brother 24, we have to talk about the Monty and Taylor relationship and their breakup, supposedly, and all of the toxicity that's been happening between them, and also just the toxicity within the fan base, of course. Now, before we really get started here, I just want to say I don't do narratives on this channel. A lot of Big Brother channels just have their own narratives they want to spin. Most of the channels say the same thing and just want to spin what is the popular opinion on social media and make it their own, even though it's just a popular opinion. I don't like to do narratives here. That's why when I do videos, I try, not always, because I can't always, but I try and talk about everyone's game and what everyone's doing within the game. But first, I want to talk about, not a lot of straight men cover Big Brother. It is mostly women and gay men that cover Big Brother on YouTube anyway. And even online, on social media, on Twitter, it's the same. Really, if you're getting updates, it's usually from a woman or a gay man. And so we always get the narrative that, not just in Big Brother, just on social media in general, men are bad, men are so bad, and they want to group all men together, which gets on my nerves. And this isn't really for men and women in the LGBTQ community. This is more so for straight women, although gay men sometimes hype this up when the women are going on and on and on about how all men are bad, which is what's been happening over the past 2 days on Big Brother Twitter, thanks to Monty. But really, this kind of mindset just makes a lot of you women look lonely and bitter. I hate to break it to you all. And so the little straight men that are in this community, at least talk about it. I feel like straight men want to then defend the men constantly when they feel like they have to. I don't feel like I do this often, but I'm sure I have in the past. Now, that being said, I don't feel like a straight guy can get on here and really give enough valid points to what Monty has been doing over the past 24 hours plus. I really don't think that could possibly be the case. And so I said yesterday, Monty has a reason to be upset for, Taylor waking him up that way, snatching the headphones. It is a reason to be upset. And somebody brought up in my comments, if it was reversed and Monty was doing that to Taylor while she was sleeping, y'all would be up in arms about that. However, like I also said in the comments, Monty taking it as far as he has, being upset about that fairly small issue all day yesterday, and throwing it out to Turner about their romance, sex-mance, and still going on and on about it today, it shows Monty's an immature person and an emotional player. After yesterday's video, I had some comments about how more people were making it seem like Taylor caught feelings and that Monty didn't, when that's just not the case. I do think Taylor has caught feelings, but so has Monty. Because let's talk about Monty's entire Sunday yesterday. Monty spent his Sunday sulking about the headphones incident, and he threw their little showmance under the bus to Turner, and then he moved out his things out of the HOH room while Taylor wasn't even there. So he's moving out when Taylor's not even there, and then he's kind of hoping Taylor would notice and talk to him about it. But she didn't notice all day long, because while Monty was too busy being an emotional person and an emotional player because he has caught feelings for Taylor, Taylor was gaming with Brittany off and on for hours and hours yesterday, while Monty was throwing his hissy fit. So Monty definitely has feelings. And I can relate when I was young. I mean, in high school and college, I acted very immature like Monty. And like Monty was acting back then when I was young. I'm old as fuck now. But when I was young, I would be very immature about an issue. And if something bothered me, I would sulk about it all day and throw my little hissy fits, which is exactly what Monty was doing. But I would do that because I was in a relationship with a person. I don't really consider this a relationship, to be honest, yet. But still, I'm doing that because I had feelings for the person, and I'm upset with something that they did, and I feel like that's what Monty was doing here, even though he's grown, he's not in high school or college, and he has a lot of growing up to do. And the misogyny with their conversation late at night, where he's basically gaslighting Taylor to make it seem like Taylor's the cold bitch again, when Taylor's anything but. And Monty bringing back this narrative when just a few days ago him and Turner were having the conversation that they don't understand why people were hating on Taylor. And in that conversation between Monty and Taylor, Monty could not come up with a reason as to why and when Taylor rubbed people in this game the wrong way. He didn't come up with an example, and nobody really has, because at the beginning of this game, she didn't rub anyone the wrong way, except for maybe Paloma, but Paloma was just intimidated by her, and then Paloma was spitting shit, and everybody, including Monty's dumbass, believed Paloma. And this is a pro tip for anybody out there who is starting to date somebody. If that someone believes narratives about you without no evidence, is that really somebody you should be in a relationship with? No, it is not at all. Somebody who's getting to know you should be able to make their own assumptions. And I get that we live in a society where everybody wants to listen to everybody else instead of forming their own opinions. But yeah, I don't think that's somebody you should be dating. I really don't. If they can't form their own opinions about you while they're getting to know you, and they have to go back to other people's opinions, but they don't even know examples of why or how you're some cold bitch, which Taylor's anything but. That's why her fucking jury management is better than almost anyone's I've ever seen. Because she's not a cold person, but she's been gaslit to believe this season that she's a cold person. She's not. So I don't know how anyone could really defend Monty in that situation last night, acting like an immature ass, and then Taylor has caught feelings, and both of them end that intense conversation with a kiss, and they're still getting little close together again today because they both enjoy fucking each other, which is fine. I don't see them as a relationship, even though they are catching feelings for each other. But there's only a few more days left of this game. And after everything that happened this week, I do think Taylor's mother is going to have a stronger argument than others may think. After this week, I know a lot of us were speculating that if this is what Taylor wants, she might not give a fuck what her mom says. But I do think she's going to be doing a lot of listening. And, the heart can't help what it wants sometimes. But there's going to be a lot of recollection going on. We'll see where it goes after the season. But as for now, I still see it more as a fuck buddy situation. Yes, they're catching feelings, but they're together all the time. When they're not together all the time, that's when the true feelings will eventually come up and come out. They're stuck in the same house for now, but that's not always going to be the case. But after all this drama of the last 2 days, something's gotten a little buried, and now we got to get back to talking about race, because just a couple days ago, people in my comments, because they like to listen to people's hot takes out there, were trying to say that Monty and Taylor wanting to go to the end together was racist, and that it was just like the cookout when it was anything but. I had a commenter from Lynn Randy, basically saying how the live feeds showed how big of a racist Monty and Taylor are. Of course, Coda was in the comments stirring shit up, because that's what Coda does. He was probably drunk because he's afraid what I'm about to do to him in a game coming up, possibly. But anyway, Coda was stirring shit up in my comments. And then Lynn Randy went and said that it got Kyle kicked out of the game, yet it's fine for Taylor and Monty to want to go to the end together because Kyle wanted to go with his all-white people. Or I don't know if Lynn is talking about Kyle and Alyssa or Taylor and Monty as a couple. I don't know what that has to do with race. But then Lynn says 2 years in a row we get the cookout thing. How is Taylor and Monty wanting to go to the end together possibly have anything to do with the cookout thing? Especially Taylor. We'll get to Monty in a second. How, in Kyle's God's name, is Taylor racist? If this is just the best option for Taylor now, how does that make her racist? She's been playing the game this whole time. We've criticized Taylor, and I especially have criticized Taylor for sticking with Michael and Brittany for too damn long. They were a duo, and Taylor was sticking with them. Both of them are white, by the way, in case you didn't notice. And Taylor was sticking by them because Taylor wants to go to the end with Brittany. That's been Taylor's game this entire time. Taylor wants to go to the end with Brittany because she believes she can beat Brittany, and she's right about that. So that is Taylor playing the game. But if Brittany goes this week, Taylor doesn't have a lot of options, and she thinks in her mind going to the end with Monty is the best option for her to win. Now she's having doubts about if she could beat either Turner or Monty. Now in my opinion, I think Taylor has a good shot at beating both of them, but Taylor doesn't know that, and she doesn't know what the jury is thinking, and honestly we don't either because we haven't gotten shit from the jury. So any talk about possible jury votes is purely speculation. So to insinuate that because Taylor wants to go to the end with Monty, if it comes down to Taylor, Monty, and Turner, makes Taylor racist is stupid. That's you all grasping at straws to try and pretend like what Kyle was doing wasn't racist, even though that's been the social dynamics of Big Brother since almost the very beginning, but especially over the past decade, is the white players making white alliances. But anytime black players want to work together a little bit, oh my god, it's a fucking racist thing. It's so stupid. Now, Monty wanting to go to the end with Taylor over Turner, I still don't see how that's racist either. We're down to the final three. It's not like Monty's been planning that from the beginning. In case you didn't realize, Monty hated Taylor in the beginning. And then when the leftovers formed, yes, Monty started to apologize more. Monty started to apologize more and more to Taylor, but it really wasn't until the twist that they got a little bit close. And yes, Monty might want to go to the end with Turner. We don't really know where Monty stands. Monty's all over the place because he's an emotional player. We don't know if he really wants to go to the end with Taylor. That's what it seems like right now, but he could easily go to the end with Turner. But once again, it comes down to who does Monty think he could be in the end. And when people like Brittany are telling Taylor and Monty that Turner is the hardest person to beat at the end because of a jury vote, it makes it seem like Brittany's going to vote for Turner in the end if he's at the end. So it is a game move by Monty and Taylor wanting to go to the end without Turner because this is what the final three has come to, and it hasn't been planned for this to be the final three. So y'all were grasping at straws a few days ago saying that Monty and Taylor wanting to go to the end together was racist when this is what it just comes down to in the final three because of game moves. You all can't talk out of your ass all the time. I hate it when comments lack critical thinking. If you disagree, please give me a good point, because if not, I will wreck you. And there was no critical thinking in those points whatsoever. They make no sense on a logical level. And people can't criticize Taylor for sticking with Brittany and Michael for so long as a duo, but then when it's down to Taylor, Monty, and Turner final three, you want to call her racist because she wants to go to the end with Monty in that scenario, when really she wants to go to the end with Brittany, and that's what she's been trying to work for the past 2 days, but it's not going to happen because Monty has set himself up pretty well at the end game here because he won the right competitions. That's the only thing about Monty's game that I think is good. I still don't think Monty is a good player. I think Monty has shown the most growth as a player, however, from where he started in this game, and that's mostly because he just started so low in this game. Listening to people who were lying to him instead of the people who were giving him accurate information was pretty bleak gameplay. But the gameplay in general has been pretty bleak. But I think Monty's biggest strength is he has won when needed to. Similar to Xavier last season, the person he wanted to play like, I think Xavier is a far and away better player personally. But Monty has had a really good end game. I'll give him that much. But yeah, so much of this season has just been personal. No real gameplay. It's been mostly people just shitting on Taylor, gaslighting Taylor, which has been extremely annoying to watch, not satisfying. That's why when people say this is a good season now, they want to change their narrative that it's a good season, it makes me question those people and their sanity. Because I feel like if you have enjoyed watching people play this personal and it getting very dire at times, I think you're just an unhappy person. You might need some therapy because you ain't going to get that therapy watching this toxicity on Big Brother and enjoying it. It's weird. That's what soap operas are for. Soap operas are supposed to be, you watch them to feel better about your life because their lives are so fucking dramatic and bleak. But to watch real people be ridiculous to each other and not even play the game, everything's so personal, it's not gameplay. So you get satisfaction from seeing that ugliness. Take a nap or something. Anyway, had to be a sociologist again, which I am not, but those were the hot topics over the past few days I felt like it needed to be talked about. There's no real gameplay to still talk about yet. I think everything remains the same. Monty's going to vote out Brittany because he sets himself up best going to Final 3 with Turner and Taylor. He sets himself off best to going to the end. Turner, meanwhile, just won't set himself up. I'm so sick of Turner in this regard, not playing the game. But I do still think, like I said in yesterday's video, it could be timing. Turner has information, but waiting too long to talk to Taylor about that information does nothing for Turner's game. So Turner could try and try and get in Taylor's better graces if that's going to be the Final 3. Yes, at this point, Taylor could use that information against Turner. So that's why I do think timing is maybe what Turner needs if he's going to try and use that information to set himself up good in the Final 3. But knowing Turner, he might not ever be aggressive enough to take that and try to do that, and then people want to wonder why the possibility of Taylor and Monty as a Final 2 are strong when Turner just listens to everything Monty says. And maybe Monty will take Turner to the end, but there is the big possibility that Monty takes Taylor to the end because he thinks that is the best chance of winning the game. Also, Turner said in his interviews at the beginning of the season that he respects when people have to cut their Final 2 at the end. So if Monty knows that, even more reason to cut Turner.